Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning, and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to Season 5 and episode number 81 of the True North Eager Beaver Interview Project, also known as episode number 757 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Always 100% Canadian. Today, recording day is Tuesday, October 7th, 2025, for broadcast on Thursday, October 9th, 2025. And it is indeed a rainy day here at the Beaver Lodge. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, and with me, as usual, I am happy to say, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. Now, before we get into it with our guest, Mr. Grizzly, how is your mental health doing today, sir?
Well, despite the overcast, gloomy, rainy weather, it's not terrible. Last night I had a rough patch there last night, a bit of a rough patch Sunday evening as well. I don't know, no idea what caused it, just existential dread.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I woke up this morning feeling good. I woke up feeling good yesterday. You know what it was? I think what caused it was I didn't pack a lunch to work yesterday, and when I went down to the cafeteria, they hadn't received their deliveries.
Oh,
and it was around 10:30, and I'm like, I'll just grab something from the vending machine. So I grabbed a Kit Kat.
Oh,
and that wasn't enough to keep me going. It
Yeah.
got me going for a bit, and then around 12:30, I felt myself starting to fade. So I had a cup of coffee. And then when I left the office at 1:30, I was like, I don't know where I'm going. I was a zombie. So I had to stopped off at the Rito Center because I'm like, I gotta go to the Farm Boy to get some food. And I thought I was going to pick up groceries, but when you're lightheaded and hungry, not a good idea to buy groceries. So I said, you know what? I'll just grab something from the because they have a hot and cold bar.
Right.
I grabbed some food. It was offensive. Just because it's by they price it out by weight.
By weight, yeah.
So I'm like, oh, there's some turkey, there's some mashed potatoes, there's some General Tao chicken. That should tide me over until I get home. And I'm thinking it's like it was $18. And it's like, oh, well, it's too late now. I can't return it. You don't know what it costs until you get up to the cash to pay for it.
Right.
So I ate it, and then I was like, well, I should get some groceries. And I'm like, no, I'm still a little lightheaded. Made my way home. Lied down for about 35, 40 minutes. Lola urged me to take her out. I did, and got on with my evening. But yeah, if I don't eat or I don't get enough sleep, it really affects my mental health, like in a myriad of ways. Now, would anybody know it? You may notice. Bridget would know.
Right.
Lola definitely knows there's something up with Daddy.
Right.
Most of humanity wouldn't, because I just shuffle it out. Oh, I got a headache or whatever, right?
Right.
because you're used to wearing that mask. You do that for a lifetime. And even though I'm open to talking about what I go through when I go through it, I can't necessarily do it while I'm in the middle of it.
Mm.
And Bridget will look at me and she goes, "Are you okay?" And I go, "Not right now." You want to? No, I don't want to talk about. I want to talk about anything but this.
Yep.
Because it's all I can think about, right? So
Right.
anyway, yeah, today doing good despite the weather. Usually when it's overcast and gloomy, and it just brings me down. But I think a large part of it has to do with the fact that I was looking forward to being able to sit and record this episode with you. And knowing we'd have a guest, get to see your smiling face and hang out with you for a little bit, albeit virtually, I thought this could be fun. This could be fun, So yeah, I was gonna. I'll mention it now, and I'll leave it up to you. I was thinking about doing a thing on Saturday, not like a full-fledged pubcast, because I know you can't be here.
Mm-hmm.
But I could start something in the afternoon, just we can invite a bunch of guests in, people who want to join, and it's Thanksgiving weekend, right?
Right.
So I thought we could have like a Thanksgiving celebration on Saturday. I could go to the pub, minimal a complement of equipment. You could join in later on when you're free, because I know you have a rehearsal on Saturday. Is that correct?
This Saturday, no rehearsal, but we do have family arriving at some point.
Okay, well, yeah,
Oh,
I
wait a
knew.
minute, Saturday or Sunday? No, Sunday, no rehearsal. Yeah, so Saturday, I do rehearsal, you're right.
Yeah, okay, there you go. See, so yeah, maybe you can join in after that, and I don't know. Well, this won't air till Thursday, so I don't know if you want to promote something tomorrow. It's up to you.
Okay.
It's. I'm just thinking, let's try and get some people to come out and hang out and have like a Thanksgiving type of get together for those who want to join us. And yeah, I'll just do a little thing and have a little fun.
All right. Good stuff. All right.
Out of water.
Yes. As you know, kids and cubs, at the end of the show, we always do a section that's called Because Democracy is Something That You Do. And we let you know little things that you can do today to help move democracy along. Because as we say, right, not everybody can do everything, but everybody can do a little something. And we always like to feature people and initiatives that come from the ground up. And today we have such an initiative because during our section, we have been talking about for a while now. If you go to ourcommons.ca and look for petition E-6679, you will find a petition. It's listed under ethical issues, but having to do with wanting to increase the level of honesty in our politics, and perhaps actually having some consequences with a little bit of teeth for politicians who knowingly and intentionally lie for all intents and purposes. In this case, when we found out about the petition, we had spotted it, and on the same day we had spotted it, some kits brought it to our attention. It had about 10,000 signatures, which is a lot for an Our Commons petition, but we have thought that it was a really great idea, and we've been pushing it pretty much daily on our show. And now it's at over 30,000 signatures, which is extraordinary for an Our Commons petition. But the more people who sign it, the better it is. And the petition is alive until November 27th for signatures. So if we could get it to 100,000, for example, that would be absolutely spectacular, would make it hard for the members of the House of Commons to overlook it. But getting back to the democracy, something that you do portion, this initiative, well, it was an everyday Canadian who decided that there was something missing in the system, and that maybe there would be a way to fill that need, and that this would be the way forward. So, kids and cubs, without any further ado, please put your paws up, I should say, and give a big round of applause for Mr. Fed Sanchez. Welcome to the Beaver Lodge, sir.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
And as we ask everybody when they come to the Beaver Lodge, how is your mental health doing today, sir?
Pretty good. I found the way that I deal with all the stuff happening south of the border, and some of it here too, is this petition. It's actually what has improved my mental health, because I feel like I'm doing something about it, not just complaining or worrying or all that kind of stuff. And actually doing something helps a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, rather than just sort of like watching the doom unfold.
Yeah.
All right. Fed, before we get into the initiative, why not tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a physician, and I was working in addictions for 14 years, and put that aside because of my parents got ill and had to take care of them. And then I'm doing some medicine now, more surgical assisting. But yeah, and I've been involved in politics a little bit. I ran for election on one occasion. I was going to run on another 2 occasions, but those ones fell through. And that's my background, really. I've always been interested in politics and helping out and doing something, because there's nothing worse than seeing things unfold and feeling that you can't participate, because you can. We live in a democracy and we take that for granted, and there's many countries, I'd say the majority of the world, where you cannot participate, but we can. And the petition way of route of participating is open to everybody. There are certain things, if you're interested, we could talk about that too, how to get your own petition going. But it's not really that difficult. The hardest part is finding a member of parliament who's willing to authorize it.
Right.
You have to have a member of parliament, which is kind of funny, because when this petition was authorized by a liberal, my MP, and so people are saying that it's a liberal petition, but it's not.
Yeah.
You have to have a member of parliament, so it's got to be somebody. I mean, I'm sometimes support PC, sometimes support Liberal, sometimes NDP, Green. I've been all across the board, and I'm more interested in the issues rather than the party, because
Right.
Aligning yourself to a party and saying that's my party, right or wrong, is, if you ask me,
I think that's crazy.
dangerous. Yeah.
Would that be the new definition of insanity in 2025?
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, when you ran, at what level did you run?
That was provincial.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that
Like,
like? What was it?
Yeah.
What was that like? That was lots of fun. I mean, I knew I didn't have a chance of getting elected, so that kind of helped to make it more fun, because we organized a lot of things, and I went door to door, and I really liked meeting people, and so it was great just meeting everybody. And I had the ultimate excuse, the ultimate open liner, saying, "Hi, I'm running for election in your riding."
Mhm.
Everybody wants to talk to you, so it was great. It was fun, and it was a lot of people wanted to me to get elected, but I actually achieved all the goals that I'd set out for myself. So I consider it to be very very satisfying. The other 2 times that I was going to run was once for the Green Party, and they had some internal problems, and so that didn't pan out. I actually was going to have my name on the ballot, but then that kind of fell apart at the last moment. And then the other time was for the Liberals, where they actually had somebody who had already they'd already decided on, and rather than contest it, I decided to join the push to help them out, and that was. And incidentally, the one time that I did run was actually for PC, and so I am actually across the board.
Wow.
Yeah, I am nonpartisan.
Interesting. When you ran that time, and you did find it satisfying, what did you get out of it?
I mean, I met a lot of people, like I said, not only in just general public, which was great, but also politicians too, and developed a bit of a sense of seeing politicians as people, and talk to them about why they were doing what they were doing, and their sense of commitment and duty to the country. That's one of the things about this petition that I find really important, and I think a lot of people don't really understand, is that the majority of politicians, if you ask me, do not lie, and they are honest, and they do want to do the best for the country, and they do have maybe political beliefs that are different than yours, but they believe them, and they are trying to advance what they believe is the right thing for the country or
Right.
province or whatever. But there are some that stick out, that they just want power, or they just want, maybe I'm not going to say anything slanderous, but there's all kinds of ways that you can kind of get off track.
Right.
But I think that's a minority, and we haven't talked about the petition yet, but inherent in it is the ability for those honest politicians to stand out and to raise the playing field and allow the public to regain trust in our elected officials, which I think is key for a functioning democracy.
Yeah,
Completely agree.
I could see that. So for those who are wondering about it, as we mentioned, if you go to ourcommons.ca and look for petition E6679, the petition reads, whereas members of parliament, MPs, have been accused of making important public statements that are false and without evidence, misinformation is a growing threat to the proper functioning of, as well as faith in, our democratic process. A mechanism is needed to verify MPs' public statements to maintain trust in our governing body. Artificial intelligence is amplifying misinformation. Current events in the United States demonstrate the dangers of not addressing this problem. And the Institute for Constitutional and Democratic Research, the ICDR, of Wales in the United Kingdom, proposed a white paper entitled A Model for Political Honesty, created because, quote, the Welsh government will bring forward legislation before 2026 for the disqualification of members and candidates found guilty of deliberate deception through an independent judicial process and will invite the committee to make proposals to that effect. We, the undersigned citizens of Canada, call upon the House of Commons to propose a bill to address the issue of perceived and actual misinformation being presented by MPs to the public, provided that such a bill could be informed by details outlined in the white paper proposed by the ICDR. And it was open for signature on July 30th and closes for signature on November 27th. So that is the text of the petition. Ved, why this particular petition?
Well, the way it started was 51st state. I took that as a personal threat. I'm very proud of Canada and do not ever want to be part of the United States. And so I started getting a little involved in that. I went to a couple protests. On one occasion, my placard, I made these Never 51 buttons and wore them all over myself and just handed them out to people who liked them. And then I was thinking, because I started printing them out and giving them to everybody that as I was walking the dog or whatever. And then I thought, well, what else can I do? What is the threat? They're not going to attack militarily to take over Canada because it's impossible. The Legion magazine actually had a really interesting article that they put out. That's the Canadian Legion, our veterans. Their magazine put out an article where they had some military, advisors who came to the conclusion that if the United States tried to take over Canada militarily, they would have decades of insurgency to deal with, not only because of our land is so huge, the border is so huge and leaky, and the mountains and all those kind of things, but also how can you tell the difference between a Canadian and an American? Lots of reasons. So they felt that it would be the demise of the United States. I mean, it would be the demise of Canada too, but it would be a demise of the United States. So I think that's off the table. I don't think we have to worry about that. So how would they do it? So I think it was the same way that they have managed to do what they've done in the United States, which is through misinformation. And I like using the term misinformation instead of disinformation, because misinformation is falsehoods. Disinformation implies, actually it says intent. It's very hard to prove intent. Right. So somebody can be mistaken, and if they want to back down gracefully, they can say, oh, sorry, I was mistaken. But for disinformation, I think that's a little bit more difficult. So in the United States, I think that they're in a situation where the misinformation has gotten so ridiculous that you don't know what's the truth anymore. And I started seeing that happening in Canada.
Mhm.
And I felt that that right there is the threat. That's how they're trying to do it, by making us follow the same path that they were on. And how can you stop that? So I came across the Welsh proposal that you mentioned. And I thought, what a great idea. I mean, I don't think that it would apply perfectly in Canada, and I'm not even saying that. In the petition, I say it informed by, not to adopt that policy, because we need a real Canadian solution that respects our history, our traditions, and our culture, and our processes. We're different from them. For example, they already have some stuff against misinformation that I was unaware of, and this is kind of fine-tuning it. So
Okay.
my point of bringing up that in the petition was that it's actually being done. So those who are saying it's naive to think you can do anything about it, well, that's ridiculous, because it's actually being done in
Right.
Wales. And I've since found that there are some other countries who are tackling this. And really, I think all democracies will eventually have to deal with this.
One thing I might add to that, though, and I wish that your petition would be able to address this as well, but I don't know how it could be implemented, is clamping down on, I will say, in air quotes, members of the media, in air quotes, who represent themselves as media or as journalists when they aren't, and then spew those same bits of misinformation, and do so with gusto and glee, and earn lots of money off of it. And there's podcasters, there's, again, folks who like to say that they're journalists. We know who they are. I'm not going to mention them by name, but let's just say they like to rebel a lot. And I'd like to see those folks punished for spreading misinformation as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's the problem of misinformation is huge.
It is.
But
It's
if you
dangerous.
ask me, the essential threat, the current threat, the most significant threat is from politicians.
Agreed.
Because it's annoying when TikTok spews on about stuff, or in Instagram, or on Facebook, or on whatever social platform that you see it on, because it's everywhere. It's annoying. And then when the traditional media does it, it's disturbing, right? But when politicians do it, it's downright dangerous.
Downright dangerous.
Well, because we elect them to represent us and to
That's
speak in
right.
our name, and then we pay them, and they do this on our time and our dime. So
That's right.
there's while media is supposed to ask politicians the questions that we would ask them if we had the opportunity, and we would like better media, there's still a step removed. But these politicians, we actually elect to speak for us. The media, this is a responsibility that they take upon themselves. Doesn't necessarily been assigned by the people, but we kind of see the value in it and we subscribe to it. But the politicians, I mean, especially in Canada, where we directly elect them, the result of the election has the consequence of that but occupying a specific seat to speak for us. We don't pay them to lie to us or to misinform us or to mislead us.
That's right. They work for us.
Correct. They need to remember that. The
That's
thing that
right.
troubles me too about this is that the abuse we see of parliamentary privilege. They will lie knowingly, or misinform us knowingly. I guess I'll be political in my choice of words here, and do so in the House of Commons, knowing they can get away with it and claim parliamentary privilege, which was fine 150 years ago, when you didn't have the ability to fact check something instantly in real time while you're sitting in the House of Commons. You could get your facts wrong and you could claim parliamentary privilege, and it was legitimate. But now you can verify a fact before you get up to speak. So if you get up to speak and you spew an outright lie, and we've seen it happen a lot in the House of Commons in the last 8, 9, 10 years, blatant. It's not even a mistake. Like, it's a blatant lie, and we know it is. And the argument being, you could have fact checked that before you said that, but now you're going to claim parliamentary privilege. But you're abusing that privilege because it wasn't designed to work in today's day and age when we have instant access to all of the world's information. So I think, this petition, if you can make this become a law, we need to be able to have guardrails in place within that to say you don't get to say things, willy-nilly, whatever you want in the House of Commons during question period and think you can get away with it and claim parliamentary privilege when you know damn well you're lying.
Right. So one thing that I do want to say about parliamentary privilege, because that's one of the things that people say is well, who are against this petition, that parliamentary privilege is something that we have, we can't change that. And I kind of agree with that, because parliamentary privilege only applies to what's said in the House of Commons.
That's it.
They have their own circus going on. They've got things that are going on there that we have no idea. They know each other. They know what's going on socially. They may reference something that somebody said 2 weeks ago that they had a problem with, that they got into a little spat with, and whatever. So they've got their own thing there. And if you want to try to figure out what's going on there on question period, well, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, who watches question period? Every once in a while it gets onto TV. Fair enough. But what I'm talking about is what they say to the public outside of Parliament, because there is no parliamentary privilege outside. And in fact, parliamentary privilege doesn't mean they can say whatever they want. They have their own rules for misinformation, and they enforce it. It takes a while, and that is a problem, because in the modern age, like, misinformation spreads real fast. So they do actually sometimes say, oh, you know what, I was mistaken, whatever, but the misinformation is still out there. But in parliamentary privilege, they can be held to task by the Ethics Commissioner. They can be held to task by the Speaker of the House. But there's several different mechanisms. But outside of Parliament, there is none. And so they say whatever they want. And that's really essentially what the petition is asking is to develop some kind of rules that they have to follow outside of the House of Commons, because the way things are right now, things are not looking very good. And what you say about, like, you can fact check yourself before you say it, you're absolutely right. Especially since they have staff that we pay for who make sure that they're saying the right things, especially people in the cabinet, because they have a large staff,
right?
And they know exactly what they're saying. It's all background checked. It's all and everything like that. So sure, they can make a little mistake, like by saying 1 million instead of 1 billion, or they might say the wrong place, or
we're human.
Whatever. We're human. But in terms of, like, gross errors that are pretty obvious, that's not acceptable.
Yeah. And when you mention that, it's not only that their own staff, there's resource staff, right? There's the Library of Parliament, there's also that staff that helps their staff find the information that they are looking for. So, I mean, you have to really go out of your way to enter the House of Commons misinformed, to make a statement, or to go outside and make a statement, and be just, like you said, not a slip of the tongue saying billion rather than million, or misremembering the name of a place or something like that, but saying something like Pierre Poilievre has been saying recently, that Mark Carney should apologize to the UK for having had inflation that was absolutely horrible during the time he was the governor of the Bank of England. And then you go and look at the CPI data for the UK, and you look at it like from 1960 to 2024, and it was some of the lowest inflation historically ever. You have to go out of your way to lie that big with all that support and all that budget, and that money that you have party money as well, that is generally subsidized by the Canadian taxpayer through the political donation tax credit, and then Parliament researchers, the staff from there that's there to help them, and then they have their staff that's paid out of their funds that they fundraise, and people that are dedicated to doing just that research. In fact, so you really have to make a big effort.
It takes a big
to
effort.
Be wrong.
And something that I want to add to that, in case folks aren't aware, Parliamentary Library is available to all parliamentarians. And the people who work there, who do the research, they work for Parliament. They don't work for the
Right.
government of Canada. They don't work for a party. They're nonpartisan. They are employees of, is it the PCO?
I'm not sure who for Parliament.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. But what I'm getting at is they're not beholden to a party.
Right.
Whoever comes in and asks them to look into something, that's what they do. They do the research.
Yeah, a lot of those people have been in working for politicians for decades.
Mhm.
You know, they've seen parliamentarians come and go. They've worked under various prime ministers.
Right.
You know,
They do their job. They don't care who's the prime minister. That's a party in power. It's irrelevant. Their job is to do the research to find out the information that these parliamentarians need. So, yeah, it's a nonpartisan group. Because I know that somebody somewhere is going to go, oh yeah, it's parliamentary librarians. They're Carney's librarians, just like the parliamentary budget officers. Carney's. No, it isn't. No.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. You said nonpartisan, and that's another thing about the petition. It's fully nonpartisan.
Right.
I mean, it can't be partisan because that would go against the whole principle. You know, and how would we do it and make it into a nonpartisan organization or whatever? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a professional on parliamentary procedures and all that kind of stuff. But what the petition does is say, basically, we got a problem. You guys got to sort it out because we're fed up.
Yep.
In a way, you can look at it as a protest, you know, because we talk about petitions and people say, well, is it really going to do anything? Because what really do petitions matter? Do they listen? And it's true. A lot of petitions are just kind of shelved. But
Yes.
if we can get enough signatures, I mean, as it is, we're on track to being the most popular petition of this session of the House of Commons. The highest is 38,000, I believe. And we're at 33 right now.
Right.
So
I
that's
can
going
sign
to
it.
happen fairly shortly. Yeah. But
Here,
the
I'll just
highest
say-
ever in parliamentary history was, I think, 360,000.
Wow.
Not the Elon Musk one. That one was second. I don't actually know what the top one was.
There you go.
but-
I just signed it.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And so, yeah, I think that we need about 100,000 because once it gets 100,000, I think the traditional media will pay attention and then it'll take off. Because I do think that a lot of people, yeah, those were the buttons that I wore all over myself. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the goal at this point is 100,000 so that hopefully it will balloon. Yeah.
Okay. So what was it you read the report that came from Wales, did you?
Yeah.
So
Well, the white paper, the
white
white
paper.
paper. So I'm not really sure what has happened. I think the way that it worked was that they had a referendum, and then the referendum was 2/3 saying we got to do something. They passed a bill saying that they have to, by 2026, institute a law or propose a law that will address this issue. So there is actually a bill to propose a bill, which sounds kind of funny, but that's just the way Parliament works.
Right.
So they should be fairly soon finalizing what the proposal is actually going to be.
Okay. When you read that white paper, what was it? Did you see anything in there that particularly appealed to you? I mean, I know that it inspired you to come to this, but what was in it? Because I didn't read it myself. So, was there an angle in it that was specific, or were there elements to the structure being proposed that you thought were pretty good or critical? If we were going to do that here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one critical one is the speed. You know, that's another criticism that people give about this petition is they say, well, we already have processes that deal with misinformation, and it's true. We do. We have libel laws. We have all kinds of things that can be thrown at people, but it takes years to work through those. And even if it only took a month or 2 months, that's still a long time. I think that by then, the misinformation is taken as truth by a large amount of people. The Welsh proposal, the way it works is that if somebody makes a complaint, the politician has to answer, has to retract it within 7 days, or say, no, this is not a falsehood. If they retract it, now this is the second thing that I like about it, if they retract it voluntarily, then they have to retract it in the same form that they put it in. So if it was on TikTok or whatever, or if it was a speech, then same forum, like on TV, and to major newspapers as well. Also, and this is the big one that I really like, is there's a public register that would be set up that actually has the complaint and the resolution. So that means that it would show up around election time, which would be really handy. Then there was a proposal in the UK similar to actually put it on their bio on the website. But I think having it all in one spot would be better. Anyway, if they decide that they are going to fight it, it goes to a judiciary body, and then that has to be done within 7 days. So 14 days from getting the complaint and having it resolved, which is still in social media terms pretty slow. Right. But I mean, reality being what it is, we need, I think 2 weeks is reasonable. At the end of that judiciary investigation, if they deem it to have been a falsehood, then the parliamentarian has to do the things that they did before, which was to retract it, et cetera, and it goes on to the registry. But then they get censured from Parliament for 2 weeks. And I'm not really sure whether it increases every time that you do it, whether next time it's 3 weeks, next time it's 4 weeks. Now, censure doesn't sound like a big deal, 2 weeks, whatever, but it means that they can't vote on bills for 2 weeks. That's a big deal.
Yeah, especially in a minority parliament.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when it comes time to vote, though, people will see that happened. Now, if they were found to have told the truth, that goes on the public registry too. Right. So that means that people who are honest, which I believe that that's the majority of parliamentarians, will have a clean record when it comes election time. Somebody will look up their MP and say, well, I don't agree with him. Let's see if he lied or she, and you'll see, you know what, they were actually telling the truth all those times. Right. And I think it will help
form your vote.
Parliamentarians decide to go the proper route, which is to be honest, because a lot of the things that they say that are not true, that are just blatant lies, they can actually take it down a notch and say what they really mean. They don't mean that Carney hasn't done anything. They mean that they're not satisfied with what they've done, and that's a totally different discussion. Right. They might say that Trudeau messed up the country, but what they really mean is that they disagree with some of the stuff that he did. So,
which is, say that, right?
Yeah,
say what,
exactly.
Because saying that he messed up the country and then walking away leaves a lot of people who will only play for that team with the idea that, what they said is 100% true because that's my guy, that's my party, my team, if you will, and I wear those team colors. So we saw that evidenced in what took place in Battle River Crowfoot not too long ago.
Now, I did something that I don't do. I gave examples, and because it is, nonpartisan, it would be. I'm trying to think. I'll stop there. Okay, there we go.
No problem. I completely understand.
Yeah.
Again, it's a nonpartisan petition, and it has.
And it's obvious by the wording.
It is. It is because it doesn't say this party or that party or. No, it's just anybody who lies, you need to be held to task for it, period. Which I can 100% support. We're not asking for them to be saints or angels or anything of that nature.
Decent.
Just do better. Everybody makes mistakes. You're allowed to make mistakes, but when you purposely spread misinformation and it's misinformation, that's detrimental to democracy and society as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And at this stage, in our what's going on south of the border, it's dangerous.
Very.
I mean, I don't understand why so many people are thinking this isn't such a big deal, but it's a huge deal what's going on down there, and the threat to us is huge, and this is how they'll do it, and if you ask me, are doing it, and I really do hope that this petition. Now, can I say a couple things about the petition that
Yes.
I think are very important, that quite often get missed? Is all ages in all petitions can actually sign the petition.
Right.
All you need is an email unique to yourself. Another thing is that it's citizens can sign from anywhere in the world if they're living elsewhere, but Canadian residents have to be living in Canada at the time when they're signing it. And I think that's
and a resident is different than a citizen. Like, I'm a citizen who could be living abroad and I could vote in it.
That's right.
A resident is somebody who does not have Canadian citizenship yet, but is allowed to as long as they're in the country, to sign this petition.
Yeah.
And another thing is that the website is run by the Canadian government. It's not my website.
Right.
I do have a website in case anybody's interested in further information about it. It's politicalhonesty.ca. And incidentally, if you just search on the internet for E6679, you'll find the petition. You'll find my website. And if you search for political honesty, even without Canada, you'll find my website and the petition. But because the website is down quite often, they fixed a lot of the glitches, but it was down for 5 days at one point during the petition. It was down for another 3 days, and then another time 2 days. But they've told me that they've figured out the problem, and it hasn't been down since then, and it's been a week. So I'm hopeful there. So if it's down, if you don't get a confirmatory email, then just keep on trying, or try on a different day. And you need to get 2 emails back. The first one is a validation. I think it's a validation email that says click here to make sure it's you, and then you get a second email saying you're done, you've been counted. If you don't get that second email, your signature hasn't been counted, and you can sign again. If it was counted, the worst that'll happen is you'll get an email saying you've already signed, and that's it. You won't get in trouble or anything like that.
Okay, good. That's good to know.
It's not the end of the world in that respect.
Yeah, but it's important to know as well that I'm glad you mentioned that, because I would have assumed that if it was a House of Commons petition, that only people of voting age would be able to sign, or only Canadian citizens would be able to sign. So residents, and if you are under the voting age, but you are politically engaged and politically aware, this is a way that you can be involved by signing petitions before you actually have a right to vote.
That's right. And, young people feel, that they're helpless. I mean, that's part of, the angst that we hear about, right? Is that they feel helpless. The world is changing and they can't do anything about it. Well, here's a chance to actually do something about it, to make your voice heard. The more signatures we get, the louder the signal we send to Parliament. And at one point, they just will not be able to ignore it, because they know they're just going to upset a lot of people.
And we've got 50 some days left, I think. It's November 27th is the termination date, so that's the drop dead date. So you need to sign it, and then and share it with as many people as you can to get more people to sign it, because it's important that we send this message to the Parliament of Canada and let them know this cannot continue. And for the reasons that you've stated, we could be headed down a very dangerous pathway.
Yeah.
I mean, I found myself agreeing with Ted Cruz a week ago when he made his comment about how, Trump suggesting that he should remove the licenses, broadcast licenses, for people who say bad things about him. It's like, no, you can't do that. Ted Cruz was defending freedom of speech. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Now, sorry, go ahead.
One thing that I find useful also is that when you're reading through and you're getting kind of upset because somebody's saying, "Oh my God, they said this, and how's that? It's not true." Well, as soon as you write down in the comments, you can do something about this, sign petition E6679, you feel much better, because every time you do that, you
Right.
know you're reaching out to somebody who is upset, and you're helping
Right.
them, and you're helping yourself, and you feel like you're doing something. So every time you see it on social media, just slide it in there. Don't worry
Yeah.
about duplication or anything like that. People don't know, and I think that a lot of people, when they find out about it, they do it, and they sign.
I
So you
agree.
can make a difference.
Yep.
It gives you a direct voice into the democracy. It's like having a second vote.
Right. And you know, for the members of our audience who tend to more hate watch us, who tend to believe that a lot of people in Parliament that share a political opinion that's maybe more aligned with ours are constant liars, this petition is for you too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's, why I don't like to give examples, because my response is always, you want me to give an example? Well, take the example you're thinking about, because I'm sure you have lots, and there's your example.
Exactly.
Because that's we all, it's a problem.
Mhm.
It's a problem everywhere. I mean, not too long ago, the NDP was accusing the NDP of doing it.
The NDP was accusing itself?
Sorry, my mistake. The NDP was accusing the Greens
Oh,
Yes.
of lying.
Right.
So, I mean, it's everywhere.
yeah,
One thing I'm really looking forward to is when it's presented in Parliament, to see who votes against it.
It's going to be
that
very
vote, by the
uncomfortable
way,
vote for a lot of people.
Yeah.
vote is public. We all
We'll
have
have to
access
we'll,
to
we'll
find
have
out
to
who
publish
voted.
that list. Sorry about that. I spoke over top of you.
No,
but-
that's okay. That's okay. I was just reiterating that is a public list that we have the right to read.
Yeah.
Which is why when people vote for certain politicians and they go, they're going to make it better for us, and I go, well, they've voted against everything that would make your life better, and here's all of the times they voted against increasing your wages or helping you get houses built, or I don't know, not wanting to or they wanted to raise the retirement age, and we said no and he said yes. Like, all of that is public record. The
That's right.
folks who vote against this,
Yeah, you can find it all on the ourcommons.ca website.
Yes.
it's all public knowledge because it's all public money.
Yep.
We pay for all of it.
Indeed.
That's why we have the right to know what they voted on. So that, yeah, this gets to the House and they vote on it. Oh boy, I'm curious to see who votes no. Because I can definitely tell you I will be campaigning against them.
Mhm. I like the idea that you mentioned, though, that everything goes on a registry, because, as you mentioned, it's something that people can consult to see how honest they are. And if such a registry exists, I'm sure that at the end of the year, no MP would like to earn themselves the title of most provably dishonest politicians. So that might curb a few things. And I'm sure that the most provably honest politician award would certainly be quite sought after.
Absolutely. And that's the way it should be, right?
Right.
Agreed.
A little bit of an incentive there, because one of the things is that it seems that the ability to feel any sense of shame has dissipated. So if there's something that actually people can point to and say, yeah, you're the biggest liar, it says so right here. Maybe there's still enough shame left for someone not to want that, at least.
Well, the Irish Catholic in me will tell you this now. We get shamed and guilted for all the things we've done wrong in our lives, and we wear it forever.
Now, one of these things that I find interesting about the petition is that when we're talking about, because I mentioned we're electing these people to speak in our name and work on our time, and we do it, we pay them, it's our dime as well. The deliberate misinformation has another impact, in that this is something, and it's something I personally believe, is that I believe that every politician, once they get to the House of Commons, when they sign those oaths, is it's maybe not anything inherently that they sign specifically or explicitly, but inherent to all of that promise is that they will not get in the way, right, of an elector's right to cast a fully informed vote.
Hmm.
So things like not showing up for debates, for example, and that type of stuff, which is aside from your petition, is, but again, knowingly misinforming Canadians or repeatedly misinforming Canadians about certain things. If you're telling me that a certain political party is planning to put capital gains on the sale of my principal residence, that might be of a concern for me, and I'll want to go check that out. But you shouldn't be telling me that if that's not true. You shouldn't be sending me to the ballot box with something that gets in my way of casting a fully informed vote, the best informed vote that I can possibly do. So, in that case, I also like this petition because it indirectly reminds MPs that they really should not be doing that.
Agreed. Well, things like if you cut the carbon tax, the price of groceries will go down.
Yeah.
That's a lie, and it's been proven because we don't have it anymore. The consumer carbon tax is gone. But I just spent more money at the grocery store the other day than I did this time a year ago. Sorry, Lola wants to get in the picture.
There she is. So, do you have any thoughts on the duty to preserve the citizens' right to cast a fully informed vote?
No, I don't know really anything about that part of things, but I do know that that there's the oath. I'm not very acquainted with the oath, but I know that the oath in the UK involves integrity, honesty, and they were thinking at one point of adding truthfulness to it, which sounds kind of ridiculous because it seems to be, to me, incorporated in the other two. But there are words there that imply that this kind of petition should be unnecessary. But the fact is, it is necessary. I don't know I know I didn't answer your question, but
okay. Well, how about if I asked it this way? Not necessarily a right in a legal sense, but let's say, for people to have a fully functional democratic process, it only works as well as the information, as the voters who participate in the process to make their decisions, how
of
good the
course.
information is here. So, in terms of a well-functioning democracy, then why do you think it is specifically important that nothing would get in the way of a citizen's right to cast a well-informed vote?
Well, it's impossible to have a functioning democracy if you don't know what you're voting for. If you're being told things and you're not really even sure whether what you're being told is the truth, how can you make a decision?
Yeah, you can't make an informed vote. You can't because you don't have the information. You just don't.
Now, people will tell you that well, you should make the decision. The punishment should be at the ballot box. That's another response I've had from people about this petition. It's like, well, okay, that's true, but if you don't have the information, how can you make that decision? If you had this registry, well, it makes it a whole lot easier to make your decision. Is every single citizen expected to research the internet, which is full of falsehoods as well, to investigate their version of the truth and the modern way of looking at what truth is south of the border? And so, do we all have to have academic degrees in figuring out misinformation to be able to vote? I mean, that sounds ridiculous to me. That's what our elected officials are supposed to sift out for us. And we call them to task through whatever mechanism we come up with this petition, if they aren't telling us the right thing. Other countries some countries are having another approach as well. I think it's in Finland or Norway. It's a Scandinavian country anyway. They've actually recently started education in misinformation and trying to figure it out at grade 6,
Yeah.
which is great. But I mean, it's going to take a long time for that to have an effect, right? So that's why at the beginning of the show, I said there's a lot of things that need to be done. It's not just this.
It's not going to happen overnight. If this, say in the spring, this goes to the Senate goes, this is great, they pass it, it becomes a law. Okay, that's wonderful. But when does it start to be implemented?
Yeah.
Probably 3-4 years from now, if we're lucky.
If we're lucky, yeah. Yeah, because I mean, they got to have, the research. They got to make sure that it's not a faulty kind of system, or they come up with something that can be abused, or whatever. It takes a while, but the message is out. You got 100,000 people saying, "We're done. You got to fix this." I think that alone will change things a little bit.
Yep.
I would hope so. I would like to think so. And as you said time and time again on this podcast, on this show today, I believe most politicians are honest. And honest in maybe they have underhanded methods to get what they want to do. But I think most of them are, when they address the public, when they address their constituency, when they address the House of Commons, are being genuine. I think most of them are. Some of them will get facts wrong. And that's never going to change. You're going to make mistakes.
Sure.
But what you're trying to do with this is to prevent them from purposely spreading misinformation.
Right.
Which I think is, like, as you said, is very, very important. I don't think there's a lot of people on the Hill that do that intentionally. But you don't need a lot of people to do it intentionally,
right,
to do damage.
Well, sure, especially if the leader's doing it, because then there's unfortunately for a number of decades now the onus on the member of parliament to follow the leader, right? It used to be a little bit more open, where you represented your constituents rather than the party, which I think is a problem with our democracy right now. So if you're going to believe what the leader says, you're not, are you going to be excused for not fact checking? Well, you shouldn't be, because you're the one who's going to have your name on that website.
Well, that's kind of like the, what did they say during the Nuremberg trials? I was only following orders.
Well, there's that component as well.
Right.
Yeah. But then also you were talking about people who actually just get things wrong and make an honest mistake. Fair enough. They retract that before the complaint is made. Doesn't go on the public record, right? As soon as they figure it out, they go, "Oh, yesterday I made a mistake. Whatever, gone, done, dealt with." But if somebody has to complain to get them to say it, it goes on the public registry. It might have been an honest mistake, but they've had 10 of them in the last year. So if they're not doing it on purpose, then they're incompetent.
Yes, and they shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yes. Or again, going out of their way to not apply the reasonably expected duty of care. Right. Given that you mentioned the sort of critical thinking aspect of it as well, are there other, aside from the petition, elements that you think that we should work on in order to be able to address misinformation? Because, for example, improving our critical thinking skills and reasoning skills is one. Having this type of thing to disincentivize intentional misinformation, to not make it profitable or gainful for politicians, would be another way. Are there other elements in society where you see some gaps that could be filled?
Well, I mean, you say about education. I think that one thing that can be done pretty quickly is to come up with an online course for everybody for free by the government to help you try to figure out what is misinformation and what is not. I think that's something that can be done relatively quickly, 6 months, right? They come up with a course, you just make it open to everybody, and I'm sure there would be lots of people who'd be willing to take that, and they would become more informed, which is great. But in terms of other things, yeah, sure. I mean, you're kind of there's the media, there's the social media. I think those are the big ones. I can't really think of other areas where that would be. But how do you tackle that? Because
Right.
you've got, Parliament is different. Parliament, they work for us. They have a duty. They have an oath. They have a history, right? So we can regulate it. But the media is a little difficult. I mean, unfortunately, the media was left open after Reagan in the States, where they removed the
fairness doctrine.
Right. So for those who don't know about it, Reagan got rid of the necessity for news reporting to show both sides, or to be balanced at least, which created polarization. That's one thing.
That's why
and it's taken this long to become super polarized, where it's just crazy. The other thing is organizations to be allowed to be called news when they're not news. Like you take Fox News and they go to court, and in court they say, we're not a news organization, we're an entertainment company. So why are they allowed to be called news? United States, whatever, that's their deal. But in Canada, why do we allow them to be called Fox News in Canada? And, maybe that's a subject of another petition, if anybody wanted to do that. I think our time is getting short, but I could talk about how to set up a petition if you want.
Yes,
but
please.
The other thing would be, there's some news organizations in Canada, I think Rebel News, and there's a couple other ones that would fall in a similar category as Fox, and that they shouldn't be allowed to be called news.
Well, we saw the fiasco that took place during one of the debates when Rebel News had, 6 reporters there who basically occupied members' time post-debate in the Q&A session, asking questions that had nothing to do with what was taking place. And then they were banned from the next one, and they got all bent out of shape. And I'm like, but they went on record saying that they're not a news agency.
And then they went on record proving it. By the way, they had themselves in that scrum.
So why do they get to call themselves Rebel News when they said they're not a news agency?
Exactly. So why are they allowed? Because people don't know that, right? They think it says news, it must be news.
Yeah, right? That's why we're not a news organization. We're the true North Eager Beaver.
That's right.
That's it.
And it's fine. It's fine to have editorials, and just to be editorial, to be commentary, whatever. That's what you are. That's why in the newspaper, anywhere where it's an editorial, it should be said editorial. It's maybe they can have the section of the article that says news, and then now this is the editorial segment. But unfortunately, the news these days is the majority is editorial. The news content. That's another problem with
huge
things.
problem, which is where what differentiates, say, the New York Times or the Guardian, as 2 examples of newspapers of record, where they have a separate column that says editorial. This is an opinion piece. Opinion pieces don't get front page news. Front page news is news. And not enough newspapers in North America do that anymore. And of course, the big problem that we have with a national newspaper chain in this country that is owned mostly by American and foreign funds. I think it's less than 3% of it is actually owned by Canadians. 60% plus is owned by Chatham Asset Management, which is a U.S. hedge fund tied to the Republican Party and Trump. And the other owners of that organization are all foreign nationals. They're not Canadians. So why would they have our interest at heart? They don't.
Right. I was shocked when I found out how many of our news sources are not Canadian owned.
It's crazy.
Like the National Post, for example, is owned by the same company that owns the
National Enquirer.
National Enquirer. Yeah, exactly. Among others.
Yeah, among others. That should tell you something, right?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Hence the look on my face.
I think only 3% of that organization is Canadian owned. The rest is all foreign. 66%, I believe it is. 66.
I think it's 2/3. Yeah.
66.6%.
Yeah.
Oh.
I made up the last part.
66.6767.
Either way, 60% plus is owned by Chatham Asset Management, which is a U.S. hedge fund that is tied to, the GOP, Trump, right-wing evangelicals. I think the PBCC is actually tied in there somewhere, somehow. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% certain. But they don't have Canadians' interest at heart because they're not Canadian. They don't care about us. They don't.
No.
Yes. It's not used by us and for us.
No, it's manipulation of us by them.
Yeah. Fed, since you mentioned it, since we have because democracy is something you do section in the show, let's do it a little early. If you are at home and there is something in the system that you see missing and you think it would be a good idea to get the backing of your fellow citizens to bring it to the attention of our elected officials, how would you go about, how would you recommend that they go about starting a petition of their own that could be taken up?
Right. So first thing you need to do is to set up an ourcommons.ca account, which is really easy. You don't need to do that, by the way, to vote. But if you want to set up a petition, you got to do that. You also got to know that your name will be on the petition.
Yes.
In fact, of all the people involved in the petition, only your name will be on the petition, as well as the MP that you find to authorize it.
Right.
You have to find 5 people who are willing to sign, to be the first signers. Their names do go to the MP who authorizes it. And so that person will be aware of it. But they don't become public.
Okay.
Just like with anybody who signs the petition, it does not go to the MP. It does not go anywhere except for the clerk of petitions, because they have to do the verifying. And when they do the counting, all of the names of everybody, including the first 5, but all the people who signed it, except for the author, the records get wiped out 6 months after the petition is read in Parliament.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is all on the website in terms of disclosures and stuff like that. There's little clicks that you can find all this information. Actually, most of it is on politicalhonesty.ca. I put it in the FAQs. There's a lot of stuff in there.
Can I add this quickly, just so everybody understands, because I think this is important. When you sign this petition, this does go to the House of Commons. It is represented by a member of Parliament. It's not like when you see the Facebook petitions, sign this to tell the Prime Minister you're angry. That does nothing. That does nothing. All that does is put your identification on another list.
That's right.
So you're giving your data away. I don't even know who you're giving it to when you signed and click those things. But this one is democracy in action. And as you said, there's only 5 people who have to sign it other than yourself, right, to support it, to get it brought towards the member. And after 6 months, they get taken off of it. And their names are never public, right?
That's right. That's right. And you mentioned Facebook, but the same applies to petitions.com or any of those online petition things, including Democracy Watch, which does good work in terms of like the same idea as me.
Right.
Although unfortunately it won't answer my emails for some reason, but whatever. So it is an official petition run by the government and has privacy legislation and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's protected.
It's the same mechanism that Arnold Viersen uses 6 or 7 times a year to try and ban abortion.
Right.
Oh, really?
So that's interesting to hear, because today I had some complaints by people saying how they didn't trust the site, but obviously a lot of people do from that side as well.
Right.
Like you say, you only need five signatories, right? To bring it. So Viersen is the MP. He has his buddy say, do this, get 4 other people, and then he private members, he brings this up 4 or 5 times a year. Not in question period, but in the House of Commons. And I'm sure you've seen him do it. I've seen it a few times. And again, he's like, we have concerned citizens. Yes, you do. They are concerned citizens. I'm not dismissing that. But 5 out of 42 million?
Yeah. No, it is our political system, and thank you very much to the MP who set this up back not
Yes.
too long ago. It's a relatively new thing. I think it's only like 10 years actually that we've had it or something. Anyway, so that part of it is easy. The hard part is finding an MP who will authorize it. It's not who will support it. They won't support it. I don't know if they're even allowed to support it. They authorize it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically they're the ones who are saying, yes, I received the petition thing. I give it to I take your information and I'm giving it to the clerk of petitions, who then sets up the then looks at what you've submitted. Okay. So once you have a member of parliament, you're done. You'll be able to do it because you can get the 5, no problem. You can log it, sign up, no problem. And then you put your petition together. You just follow what's on the website. The language is a little bit weird. I didn't do a good job the first time. So they sent it back to me with suggestions on how it would sound better. And so that's what I did. And then came out with that legal stuff that you read right at the beginning.
Right.
Those are mostly my words, but rearranged. Because what you got to do is you got to put at the beginning, they give you separate lines, and those lines are what outlines your concerns. And then we, the citizens, etc., that portion is what you're asking government to do. You're not demanding, because you're asking honorably and respectfully, because they are elected officials and they do deserve, they do hold the power, they do deserve your respect. And so you're asking them to do something. In my case, I'm asking them to look at it and come up with a solution and consider this. But in some cases, it's very specific what you're asking them to do, like ban abortion. But if you have an idea of what you want to come up with, then, just put it together. And if you can find an MP who is sympathetic.
It doesn't even have to be your MP, correct? It can be an MP of any stripe anywhere in the country.
That's right.
Okay. Good to know. It's good to know. And again, as you said earlier, they're not supporting it. They're just authorizing it.
They're authorizing
Which is an entirely different thing, because they might even be fundamentally opposed to it. But if your argument is so compelling that you can convince them, look, let's put this forth and let's see what happens. If they're an honest member of parliament, which is what this is all about, they'll just go, yeah, I can authorize this because I hear what you're saying and I think you have a right to say it and it should be heard. Here we go. And this is not a frivolous thing. This is not something silly. This is very important to democracy, and you've done the work to consider the ramifications of what is happening south of the 49th parallel and how it can affect us here if we don't address the situation in Canada. And was it the Welsh one that inspired you as well? Or I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I thought about a petition, but when I heard about the Welsh one, I was like, yeah, I mean, it's being done.
It's being done
in a parliamentary system, very similar to ours.
Right.
Why aren't we doing it? That's really was my logic. And as I said, it's helped me cope with all the events going on. But to what you're saying, it is a lot easier to get an MP to agree to authorize it if they're sympathetic too, though. So,
yes.
Like you can look into their bios and you can figure out, like, if it's about animals, then you can figure out which ones have talked about animals in the past and whatever, maybe do a Google search or even a ChatGPT, which MPs have supported this issue, and you put the issue in there and you might get a couple names. And then you approach them, and their emails are on the Our Commons website in a different section, in the House of Commons section. And you just send it off or give them a call, and who knows?
Well, since we're talking about him, the MP that authorized the petition is Karen Bardisi from Tyicon, Parkdale High Park in Ontario. Did you have an opportunity to interact with him at all?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how was your experience?
He's the person that I helped out for the election.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I mean, that's a good way to get an MP to authorize your petition.
Indeed.
I didn't do it for that reason. I honestly just felt that we needed a liberal majority to deal with Trump. That's really what the reason why I fully backed the Liberal Party. Yeah.
We were that close to it too.
I think we're close enough that we can do things fast. But if it just had to slow down, I think it would be more. But that's a whole different issue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, getting involved in politics is fun too. I mean, like, if you going door to door with the MP and, meeting the team and, everybody's in a good mood and you're talking about things and whatever. It's a great way to meet people too of all ages.
Mm-hmm.
There's quite often a lot of younger people and a lot of older people. People in the middle are too busy working, I guess. But if that's a interest of yours, go ahead and do it next elections because it's actually a lot of fun.
I fully support that. 100% support that. I personally can't do it because of this program that we host. So I can't, I make no secret about the fact that there's certain politicians and certain political parties that I cannot support. But at the same token, I'm not going to go out and support their opponent because I think I should still be unbiased. I always vote. I'm going to vote in every election, municipal, provincial, and federal. But when it comes to that, I think I would lose any credibility, whatever little credibility I do have as a co-host of this show from time to time, if I was out blatantly supporting my member of parliament. But again, I'm saying for anybody else, by all means, go out and do it. I'm explaining why I can't, because I feel it would detract from my ability to say that, I'd like to say that I'm largely unbiased. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I have a bias against a politician because they lie so damn often and get away with it. So, I mean...
But that's an informed bias.
That's an
So you mentioned voting and as a bare minimum, everybody should vote. I mean, I grew up, my mother she escaped communist Hungary. My dad left fascist Spain.
Wow.
So, I mean, our political conversations in the dinner was quite something sometimes. But they really drilled it in my head. They said, Canadians take it for granted that we have democracy and you can vote for whoever you want. And they didn't have that.
We seem to forget on how much of a slippery slope we are to losing that democracy at any given moment. And people, that won't happen. I go, just look south, man. That's what's happening right now in real time. When people say, what would you have done in 1933 Germany? You're doing it right now.
Yeah, you're seeing it. Yeah.
We're watching history repeat itself. Oh, he's not going to have Nazi death camps. Well, what do you think Alligator Alley was? I mean, and again, let's remember, they didn't start that way. They worked their way up to it over a number of years. So just fascism creeps in real quickly. And if you're not careful, we can lose our democracy altogether. And people say I'm being alarmist, but I'm not. I'm being a realist. We could lose it very easily.
Yep. That's why vigilance is always important.
Yes.
Ed, before we have to go, is there any message that you would like to leave our audience with that after our conversation today, they take that with them throughout the day and into the week and maybe might even act on it somehow?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have been great. I've been able to say most of what I wanted to say or all of it, but the main message is there is a real danger to our democracy going on right now, and it is at its apex. Misinformation spread by Canadian politicians. All the other stuff, if you ask me, is secondary. But this is urgent, and this petition allows you to feel better about the situation by doing something and to actually help change the situation and send a message to Parliament that you're concerned and frustrated with what's going on, and you want them to do something about it. Because even if they don't necessarily do something, they will see it. They will hear it. They will sit in Parliament and vote on it. And when they hear the numbers, if we can get it to very significant numbers,
Right.
they will do something.
All right.
Let's get our voices together and speak loudly.
All right. So DamFam, you have your assignment, don't you? Petition E6679 rcommons.ca. Sign it. Number 1, tell your friends about it. Make sure they sign it. Ask them about it often until they do. Be that little pest and share it. And when you share it to your friends and your friends decide to sign it, also ask them, did you share it afterwards? And make sure it circulates. And let's get that number to a nice high number around 100,000. Sounds quite attractive. And let's get
share it everywhere.
Yeah.
Share it everywhere, because if you do a search on TikTok for E6679, you'll come up with a whole whack of videos, all from different angles. I'm really impressed with what some people have come up with, and it's really quite entertaining, some of them. Don't worry about duplication here.
Yeah.
Duplication is key here.
Yes. Redundancy matters here. Some built-in redundancy is a good thing here.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, you're surprised at some of the people who are supporting this, and I think there are people on both sides of the house that want this.
Yeah. If you ask me, if you're not supporting it, you have an agenda.
It's pretty simple, right?
There you go. There's a thought for you.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Fed. And
Thank you.
hopefully, or maybe around the time of the end of the petition, we can get an update and see how we're doing at that point on. And see if there are going to be any next steps.
Oh yeah, there will be.
All right.
That's when we start writing letters to the MPs to not ignore the petition.
Outstanding.
Excellent. There we go.
Sir. Well, we'll have to have you back for sure. It's been great having you today. We appreciate your commitment to protecting and maintaining our democracy, sir.
Thank you.
Full salute to you. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time and your efforts, and we'll be in touch. You take care.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right, kits and cubs. There you go.
That was awesome.
Yeah, right?
It's awesome. I love this guy. No, seriously, I love this guy. Committed to maintaining our democracy. And that, everything he said, I 100% agree with. Our democracy is on the precipice. If we are not careful, if we are not vigilant, we will lose it.
And take a look at it, right? This is one man who decided that there was a gap that needed to be filled. And today, looking at it, 33,105 other fellow Canadians
on the Tuesday, October 7th, at the time of this recording,
decided, you know what? You're doing a good thing here. I can get behind that. So
we need more people to get behind it.
But again, one person has reached over 33,000. Like this. You can do that too.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, do not underestimate your own power.
Well, and so many of us feel powerless all the time. We feel powerless.
Well,
this is evidence that we are not.
I know, but that's why the rhetoric is designed in that way, right?
Yes.
When I keep on referring to someone as Canada's abusive boyfriend, repeatedly telling us how we're ugly and fat and stupid and no one will love us or no one would even want to lead us except for him. So he's our inevitable choice. So you might as well just not ask questions and just give him the vote already. You don't have to take that. Yes. You have choices. You have options. You know, it's
don't let them convince you that you don't have power, because you do.
Yeah, exactly.
You do.
It's like, and no matter how many people try to tell you that as a nation we are broken, if you are not, then you can do something.
Correct.
About that. All right. Don't let the bastards break you.
Was it? I can't carver on them. Don't let the bastards bring you down.
Right. Exactly. Who was that again? To Barbara Walters?
Well, it was John Wayne of all people, because when Barbara Walters had started out hosting the ABC Evening News in the 70s, people were like, we can't have a woman doing this. Which,
Yep.
And he just wrote her a simple letter, says, "Dear Barbara, don't let the bastards get you down." Now, John Wayne was not exactly what you'd call a feminist.
No.
Or maybe even a forward-thinking individual, but he admired and respected her.
Yep.
And stood up for her. When a voice like that, at that time, that carried a lot of weight with her.
Yep.
She said it helped propel her forward when, America's manly man, John Wayne, the Duke, the Green Beret, these are movies I'm referencing, for those of you who are too young to know. He died a long time ago. But when somebody, think of it this way, it's like if Justin Bieber was to write a letter to Rachel, oh, come on, drawing a blank. We see her all the time. I quote her all the time. Canadian,
Gilmore?
Global News. Rachel
Okay.
Gilmore.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you were talking about a journalist or a politician. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was, I was going with journalist. But if it'd be like today if Justin Bieber, as an example,
right.
Or Benson Boone, somebody who's on the up. But I guess Justin Bieber, because he's more of no, actually, if Taylor Swift, there's a better example, wrote that letter to Rachel Gilmore and say, "Don't let the bastard get you down." That's how significant it was to Barbara Walters at the time.
Right.
I was drawing a blank on Rachel's surname for some reason. I knew it was G, and I was going to say Global, but I'm like, no, she used to work there. That's not her name.
Rachel
Blanking out.
When
you get up every day at 4 a.m., sometimes I start to sundown around this time.
I hear you. Yeah, I too loved this exchange because exactly like I said, right? One person just taking it upon themselves, seeing a need, being the change that they want to see, having confidence that they have a certain amount of convening power, or if that, they use the tools that we have available to us. Again, right? All of this, our commons is there, this system, how to go about it, how to get the attention of not your MP, any MP itself to in order to pursue that. That's a tool that's available to everyone. But again, you have to know about it.
Yes,
Right, to be able to use it, but we have tools in our system that allow it. Right, when we talk about Nate from the breakdown, we don't do this because we don't consider ourselves news, but he's often putting in freedom of information requests. Well, anybody can do that. Right? You can do that too if there's something that says, I wonder what happened there, and you can't find the information. Like just a little freedom of information request, or $5 in different places. It might be different amounts, but just a nominal fee, and and then you get the process working for you. So we have lots of tools like that that we can use that not a lot of people necessarily access, but they are there. So if you are someone who is persistent and happens to like process a little bit and doesn't mind being a fly in the ointment or a hair in the soup now and then, there's lots for you. Or sometimes, like me, you're petty.
The thing we need to be cognizant of, and we're not nearly enough, is the fact that we have these resources available to us at our disposal, and we're oftentimes dissuaded from even knowing about these things. The system is designed largely to keep us in the dark and beat us into submission.
Yeah.
But I had a friend years ago who says, "Oh no, you want to do that? Here, look." And he showed me, if you want to pursue this, here's how you do it. And I go, well, that looks like a lot of work. He goes, what, you think it was going to be easy? I'm like, oh, okay, fair.
Yeah.
Good point.
But there is a system. Somebody thought of it.
Yeah, he's like, Paul, if you want to get money for what you're trying to pursue, here's how you go and you apply for the grant. I'm not saying you're going to get it, but if you do your work, if you go through these channels and you present it, pretty good chance you're going to get the money. And if you get the grant from the Canadian government, it's not a loan, it's a grant.
Right.
It's money you can take to pursue that goal.
Right.
I didn't end up going through with it because things changed for me at the time, but it was a huge lesson for me that there are systems in place to help every single Canadian, even the disenfranchised.
Right.
As an example, a disenfranchised Canadian, that means somebody who is not able to vote, can vote in this petition.
Right.
So you still have a voice.
Right. And
Well,
often,
not vote this petition, but sign this petition is what I should
right.
say, not a vote. But
And often you're a point person for all of this information. If you're wondering, I'm looking at this. Is there a grant program? I'm wondering about this. Is there a petition? I'm wondering about this. Is there a
Mhm.
way that I can influence? Starts by contacting your elected representative or their office, because they have staff there that are well aware of whatever these things are and can help give you the direction that you need.
And I get it. It's work. It's a lot of extra work.
Yep.
It is. I'm
But
not
it's
gonna
worth it.
sugarcoat it's extra work. But if it's something you believe in and it's something you want to pursue and you don't even know maybe what the resources are available to you, do a little bit of legwork, figure out what you need to figure out. There are people who will help you.
Yep.
But the
Indeed.
resources are there.
Yep.
Most people don't know about them.
Yep. It's worth it. And like Mr. Grizzly says, it is a lot of work, but it's worth it. And it is definitely fulfilling and rewarding work as well.
Mhm. Oh,
Because
absolutely.
even if you don't get your desired result, the network that you build
Mhm.
along the way
And the
can
things you
help
learn
with the
along
next,
the way.
right? Or you meet somebody that has their own thing that you can support and you get involved and you make change that way. Sometimes the first change that you try to make, even if it's not successful, it is the first domino that you lay on the
Right.
path to being more and more effective in bringing about change. Or finding other people that are like-minded that want to bring about change, and now you have numbers and the advantage of that. But it's always you learn something. It's fulfilling. You meet people. You get to be in contact with people that you probably never would have been contact with otherwise. You get an appreciation for a lot of different people in this nation. And I forgot to ask him about it, but there was a little tidbit. It seems that somewhere along the way, our guest today got a little bit of help from Sarah Spanier,
Oh,
who was
really?
a guest on our show as well. So, like you said, right? You never know where help is going to come from, like this.
Very
And
true.
given that she took a run at politics as well and decided that she's going to stay involved and she has other projects in mind, again, one day might pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Dad, I've got this thing going on."
Well, and I expect the next time there's an election in that riding for Sarah to make a bit more of a dent
Hmm.
in the electorate. What was it Bonnie famously said? Look, come January when they have a party leadership review, we might have to do this all over again.
Yeah, you might.
That's a very valid statement. Which means I don't know if Bonnie wants to get back into it or not. I have no idea, but Sarah will be there.
Yep.
No matter what, she's going to be there because this really fired her up. And I again, we haven't spoken to Bonnie recently,
Yeah.
so I don't know what her stance is on it, but may have to go through it all over again come January.
Yep. Both of them would make exceptional local representatives for
Yes.
sure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, kits and cubs. That's the end of this episode of the True North Eager Beaver Interview Project. We hope that you love listening to us because we loved making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. We really appreciate it when you do, especially when you share our content with a little blurb of your own, speaking to how it resonated with you because you are influencers in your own circle. So please use that influence wisely, but please do use it. Now, kids and cubs, let's see. I forgot I made a joke and I threw myself off. Kids and cubs, if you would like us to help you because you might be on the go and you do not have time to watch our show live with the DamFam or at your own convenience on our YouTube channel, well, thanks to the Ray Girl, we are lightweight and portable. So please go to our pod page. You can scan that QR code that just appeared to go there, or you go to podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when you see the little icon that says subscribe, if you click on it, when we have something off the audio cast or podcast bandwidth, zip right into your podcast feed, and it just waits for you there thoughtfully and demurely until you click on it and pop us in your ears and take us with you so that way you can take on the world and remain informed at the same time. We like
you
to
can
help.
find that wherever you get, all you got to do is get a connection to the www there, do the www, and you go onto the pod page and you can get us.
There you
I
go.
was trying to do a boomhauer, but I lost the accent in my head. I lost the accent in my head as I started to say it.
Now, kids and cubs, if you would like to help us, well, then you need to grab your e-surfboard and hang 10 on down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page, where Kits, Cassie, and Lane are beckoning for you to click on our buttons. Like, share, and subscribe. Give them a little tickle. You know we ain't fickle. It helps us with the algorithm, and plus it gives us a little burst of happy when we see our numbers go up. So thank you for that support. Now, if you would like to help us in other ways, yes, Kits and Cubs, we do incur some costs to bring the show to you. And this year, we are hoping it will be the first one that we will break even thanks to your support. So help push us over that line by making a contribution to the Eager Beaver Lodge's Emergency Hydration Fund, where every day we fight the scourge that is dry beaver, because a moist beaver is a very happy beaver.
I'm not even gonna.
I so miss having you here every morning.
Nothing. I don't even know what to do.
A couple of loonies or toonies in our tip jar, when they hit the bottom and make that lovely jingling sound, it gets us a little bit of happy as well. Now, Kits and Cubs, if you're not able to contribute financially, please do not worry. It doesn't matter, because the gifts of your attention and participation are the ones that matter the most to us. So if you're not able to click scan that QR code to bring you to our coffee page, or go to coffee-fi.com/eagerbeaver. You can still write to us at truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com and let us know what you think about the show, good, bad, or ugly, or give us some suggestions for a guest. Right? That's always very helpful. Indeed. And if you are doing the Buy Canadian thing and do want to send us some financial assistance, but want to avoid the CE tech bros in the United States who might take a portion of your donation and hand it to Donald Trump to do things that are not very nice to us, well, you can do a bank-to-bank transaction. truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. Bank-to-bank transfer makes it such that the Broligarchy does not take a cut, and we get 100% of your donation, which means it goes further and we can do more with it. Win, win, win. It's a good situation.
And I got to cover the advertising budget.
Yes, because we like to help. All right, Kits and Cubs, because democracy is something that you do, well, hey, go to ourcommons.ca if you haven't already, and look for petition E6679, and put your little signature on that. And let's make some good things happen. And then once you do that, share it with your friends. And like we mentioned, make sure they do it. And then make sure they share it with some friends too. All right. Other things that you can do if you're in Alberta, forever-canadian.ca is the website. Thomas Lacase has a group of volunteers working very hard to put a citizens initiative question on the ballot to keep Alberta within Canada. So you can go there to find out where there are some pop-up signature locations, how you can become a canvasser or donate to that organization, because they too incur some costs when you need to collect 300,000 signatures and need some canvassers. You got to recruit a lot of bodies for that, and that takes a little bit of money. So everything that you can do will definitely help. And finally, Kits and Cubs, if you are Newfoundland and Labrador, you have a provincial election coming on the 14th. So make sure that you research your candidates, plan your vote, and make sure to bring friends with you, because friends don't allow friends to do democracy alone. And if you are in Yukon Territory, November 3rd is your territorial election. And that's just recently been announced. So find out about your candidates and maybe call Elections Yukon, because maybe they need some people to help at the polling stations, which is something everybody should do at least once in their lives. It's a wonderfully rewarding experience.
You get paid for that too, don't you?
Yes, you do.
There you go.
Yes, you do.
There you go.
Mr. Grizzly, since you are here, do you have some words of wisdom?
Yes, I do actually. Don't think that just because everything looks so bad and terrible right now that it always is going to be this way. Because it isn't. Because we have people in this country who care enough to make a difference, like Fed, who has put forth a petition to hold our politicians to a higher standard, which is what we expect of them.
Yes.
So don't, I know you can get down sometimes when you read all of the terrible things that are happening in this world. Remember, there are good people out there doing good things to make the world better. And thanks, Fed, for coming out and doing that. We really do appreciate it.
Yes. So, DamFam, it could be a tough world out there. Please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And now, Mr. Grizzly, if you would, please cue the cock. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.